The English Channel, stretching 560 kilometres between Dover and Land's End. 75,000 square kilometres of sea separating Britain from mainland Europe. 1 billion tonnes of marine traffic each year. Once a historic naval battleground, now the world's busiest waterway. On the front line,
Coast Guard Rescue.
elite teams, enforcing order and combating disaster as they police, patrol and rescue in the Channel 24/7.
Can you just give us an update on the casualties condition?
Coming up, the RAF race to the rescue after a teenage girl's adventure day out ends in disaster.
There's got to be a lower back pain.
A luxury cruise liner in port lands in hot water with the marine inspectors.
That shouldn't be underwater.
There's fishy business when things don't add up on board a French trawler.
112% under record, over.
And a 5-hour mercy dash to save a seaman stranded on an oil tanker with appendicitis.
Sit down!
Royal Marine Base Chivenor is one of 6 RAF search and rescue bases in the UK on standby 24/7, dealing with civilian emergencies. They've just received a call to attend the scene of an accident on the Pembroke coast. Winchman Ryan Thomas was preparing for a routine training day, but it's about to turn into a full-on cliff rescue.
Just getting ready to go out and do some wet training, which means water work, and the call just came in for a coast steerer, which is people who do a bit of cliff jumping into the water and that kind of thing, and apparently a woman's fallen a height onto rocks. It's at David's Head, about 40 minutes transit. That's just up the tempo.
322 is your heading.
107 knots at 1,500 feet. Roger.
The casualty is a 16-year-old girl who sustained as yet unknown injuries, jumping 6 metres from cliffs into the sea.
St David's, I'll be on scene, over.
St David's RNLI are already on the scene. 2 of their lifeboat crew have swum ashore to give the casualty first aid.
The best recovery will be via airlifting.
This is St David's, I'll be, roger, understood.
I expect you'll probably get to do this one, Taff.
25-year-old Flight Officer Christian Taff Wilkins, after 6 years of training, is finally in the hot seat as pilot.
This will be my first cliff winch. We do an exceptional amount of training. When you actually get a call out and you're lucky enough to be in the van seat, it is a good experience.
You're my hero, Taff.
I've got every faith in him. I'm sure he's going to do a good job. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Please have an update of the situation, please.
Her position currently is on a small outcrop of rock, approximately 15 feet above the water. She's lying slightly at an angle on the rocks with 3 other persons in attendance, over.
St David's Head is a popular location for adventure sports, but it's also been the site of numerous accidents.
They're about 15 feet above the sea, and there are Coast Guards and lifeboat in attendance.
Seasoned winchman and paramedic Ryan Thomas will carry out the actual rescue. He's served in Afghanistan, rescuing casualties from the front line.
Casualties fallen at a certain height, we don't know at the moment, into water cleanly, portraying tingling in the extremities, especially your feet, and obviously a suspect spinal injury, looking to immobilise, stabilise and extract.
I'll come in looking at about 100 feet and I'll set up by that in London at 12 o'clock and then move in as required. Visual casualty, 3 o'clock.
As Rescue 169 reach St David's Head, they quickly make visual contact with the injured girl.
Your directions, guys.
I'd like to move straight back to the top of the headland. We'll deploy Ryan over there so we can commit to that area. Or just cliff walk him down, placement of the sliders.
Roger, Abby.
The only way for Ryan to get to the casualty is to do a cliff walk, where he'll be gradually winched down while negotiating the hazardous rocks.
Okay, commit now to your 3 o'clock, sir.
Roger.
Rescue 169 prepare for the challenging cliff extraction. Off the coast 250 kilometers to the south, another close-knit team are getting ready to go into action. The mighty 1,700-ton Navy warship HMS 7 is out on patrol in the English Channel. But appearances can be deceptive, because she's not been ordered to the defence of the realm, but to fight a war against the depletion of fish stocks. On board are the Fishery Protection Squadron, who work alongside the Navy under the banner of the Marine Management Organisation, or MMO.
We have 3 vessels patrolling the British fishery limits, working with the Marine Management Organisation to protect fish stocks for the future.
The Fishery Protection Squad are charged with policing all fishing vessels and fish stocks in over 150,000 square kilometres of UK waters. Today, with HMS 7 under the command of Captain Jordan,
10:26, boarding authorised.
Lieutenant Paul Caddy will be conducting a series of lightning strike boardings on fishing vessels, which intelligence suggests may have been overfishing.
Dans quelle zone avez-vous pêché?
Firmly on their radar is a French trawler called the Souviens-toi. The boat is a 45-ton stern trawler.
So intention is to send a routine inspection team. So if you could pipe hands to fish boarding stations.
Hands to fish boarding stations, hands to fish boarding stations.
Lieutenant Paul Caddy musters his boarding officers on deck.
We're just about to go and try again to board a French fishing vessel called the Souviens-toi. We took a look at her last week. At the time we couldn't get on her because her boarding ladder is actually illegal and it is unsafe. I'm going to go and take a look at it. We'll make a dynamic risk assessment, and if it is safe, we're going to have another go at getting on it.
It's a different ladder.
Boarding officer Paul is first on deck and makes contact with the captain.
Est-ce que c'est éviscéré? Éviscéré. It's all about bit of GCSE French, bit of GCSE maths, you name it.
He starts by examining the logbook, which keeps an official record of the volume and type of fish caught and where it was pulled from the sea. He heads below deck to inspect the catch and to find out if the captain's figures tally up. First up, monkfish.
Est-ce que je peux regarder la pointe de cette espèce aussi?
One of the crew hands begins unloading the fish for the boarding party to weigh.
Oh, he's fresh. I think he's wriggling. Horrible fish. Tastes alright though. Let's see. There we are. 20. Bang. There's 135.68 kilograms of fish in there. In the logbook, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure he wrote down that he had 50 kilograms. I'm going to check that. If he did have 50 kilograms in there, that's going to be a fairly big problem for him.
RAF search and rescue have been called to the aid of a teenage girl taking part in a day of coast-steering, a mix of cliff jumping, swimming and climbing. She's been injured jumping into the sea and now has back pain and tingling in her legs, which could mean a spinal injury.
Okay, commit now to your 3 o'clock, sir.
Roger.
Taff has to keep hovering at a safe height above the cliffs. It's a difficult manoeuvre.
Just a small wall, we're over now.
Roger.
It's his skills which will keep the risks of the challenging cliff walk to a minimum.
Right 3, right 2, 1. Steady, you happy there?
Happy.
Right, oh, it's good, check's good rear.
Roger, made to manoeuvre.
Ryan will walk down the cliff side attached to the winch. If he were lowered straight to the casualty, he would run the risk of his winch line swinging him back into the cliff face.
Right, clear to move forward to the cliff edge initially, sir.
Roger.
Forward 5 and right. 2 and right. 1. Okay, You happy to height left, tap the flyway?
Happy.
Okay, continue to this wide end. Right side, cliff walking. Forward 3 and right.
The downdraft from the helicopter doesn't make negotiating the jagged cliff face any easier.
Your height's good. Right side where he is. Tail's clear. Okay, up we go, mate. Let's get in fast on with downwash.
With his feet on the ground, Ryan sets about assessing the casualty, 16-year-old Sean Davies.
Sean, do you have any pain? Yeah, my back is hurting. All right. Oh, don't worry. Relax. Look, you're brave enough to go coasting and you're braver than me. Don't worry about a thing. We're going to look after you all the way, all right?
Guys, can you hear me on Polycon?
Yes, right, down and clear.
Joe's got severe lower back pain. What I would like to do is get the stretcher in the end tonight, please.
Once again, Taff has to hover to deliver the stretcher.
Right, height's good. Reaching out.
But the helicopter's creating a dangerous rotor downwash. It almost knocks Ryan off the rocks.
We're struggling. Steady for a moment.
And the stretcher nearly does the same.
Manoeuvre to fire, Taff, please.
Taff manoeuvres away from the cliff to stop the rotor downwash knocking them into the sea. With a potential back injury, Sean must be kept immobilised and lie flat at all times.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, lift.
It's a precarious scramble up the rocks to get her into the stretcher.
Okay, that's it, I'm in. Good work, guys. Hot day, innit?
Must be hot in all that, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Ryan, ready for lift?
Roger.
Take your time, Taff. So hopefully the casualty is now secured in the stretcher. We're just going to reposition, ready to pick him up. Where do you want to go for recovery? Up to the cliff top or straight away forward? Lovely.
Ryan's indicated it's safer to winch the stretcher away from the cliff.
Height good. Hook to hand, steady, height good. Stretcher secure, taking a strain. Your height's good, tail's clear. Forward and left as required, Taff. Voice to pilot, winch out.
Sean.
Once on board, Ryan monitors Sean's heart rate and tops up the pain relief.
She's been doxed up on Entonox. Pulse has come down somewhat.
Yeah, 100 now.
You know, it's 145 down there. I was worried.
The crew are heading straight for the emergency room at Swansea's Morriston Hospital.
And if there is any underlying injury, they'll find it, deal with it. All we're doing at the moment is maintaining a safe, secure, straight platform for transit to the doctor, hopefully, that can analyse it and put it right. It was just really hard work, especially when the stretcher delivery nearly knocked me in the organ. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, whoop. I thought, I'm going to get wet.
As they land at the hospital, it won't be long before Sean's injuries will be assessed.
Smashing. The handover's complete. She's in there with the doctors now, checking out her back and everything. But she's in the best place now for them to readily rectify.
It's been a well-executed rescue for the crew. And for 25-year-old Taff, it's the end of his first cliff winch.
Yeah, it is a pride, but you don't really think about it as you go along. You're just constantly concentrating on what you're doing at the time and just thinking how you can do it better.
"230 kilometres away, the Fishery Protection Squad are on patrol in the English Channel, doing spot inspections on trawlers to ensure they're not overfishing. A French fishing vessel called the Souviens-toi has caught their attention, and an inspection of the weight of the monkfish catch has revealed a discrepancy.
There's 135.68 kilograms of fish in there. In the logbook, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure he wrote down that he had 50 kilograms. I'm going to check that. If he did have 50 kilograms in there, that's going to be a fairly big problem for him. Got it. Monkfish, 10, 30, 10 makes 50. So yeah, he's misrecorded that. That's pretty bonkers. we'll go and have a chat with the ship. Mother, this is Bravo Golf. We dug out the entire pound and did a 100% check weigh, giving a total gutted weight of 106 kilograms. That makes it a 112% under record by my assessment. Over.
To allow for a small margin of error when counting a catch, fishing vessels are granted a 20% under record leeway on the amount of fish they catch. But the Souvientois has been caught hook, line and sinker with a staggering 112% under record. Evidence is mounting. Back on HMS 7, Captain Jordan's suspicions are raised.
Request intentions, over.
I think if you can do other species, just to see if there is a difference to under record, over.
Roger, all copied. We'll proceed to do a check weigh and we'll pass ops normal at 1230 if not complete, over. So, having spoken to the ship, the plan now is go back down to the fish room. We'll dig out some more pounded fish, which is going to delight the fish room hand, and we'll weigh his black bream and the red gurnards, but there is a lot of it, so it's going to take us a little while.
Paul is now determined to examine all of the catch.
Je vous regarde la bream.
Once again, the scales and the logbook don't tally.
22. We've just check weighed the bream, and it would appear the trend developing because he's 41% out with his bream against his logbook, and once again he's allowed a 20% tolerance, so he's outside that tolerance. It's an infringement in itself, and that makes 2 infringements we've found in about half an hour.
Finally, Paul asks for the red gurnards to be placed on the scales. If this catch is also over the limit, the captain will be facing sanctions.
21.8% under record, 20% tolerance, so out again. Mother Bravo Golf, and that's the second infringement detected. A total of 46% over record, black bream, and 21.8% under record, the red gurnards. Therefore, once again, he's outside tolerance, over.
With his inspection completed, Paul confronts the captain over the massive disparity between the recorded catch and the actual catch.
La réglementation indique que les entrées dans votre journal de pêche ne doivent pas différer de plus de 20% en poids vivant de la quantité entreposée dans la chambre à poissons.
On n'a pas de balance à bord.
Though not strictly illegal, Paul and the other officers are stunned to find that the French crew do not have scales to weigh the caught fish.
He doesn't have one, he doesn't use one. What he does is eyeballs the fish as he goes into baskets, says, I think that's about 20 kilograms, and puts that in the logbook. He's just guessing, and his guesses aren't good enough. Mother, this is Bravo Golf. The master doesn't have any scales in use on board.
While Paul radios HMS 7 to find out what punitive action he should take, the exasperated French skipper of the Souvientois is all out of excuses.
Ah bah moi je suis en tort. Ni défaut. Ouais, le contrôle est ok. Ouais. C'est moi qui suis dans l'erreur.
Alors, patron, ceci est un avertissement officiel indiquant que vous avez manqué de remplir correctement votre journal de pêche.
This time, the captain's received a caution. If he carries on underestimating his catch, he could face prosecution. Paul and his crew head back to HMS 7 for a debriefing with Captain Jordan.
MMO were quite keen to establish whether they were fishing or not. Passed all the information back to them. It'll go on his record. So well done for doing that.
Thanks, Mum.
From now on, whenever the Souvientois is in UK waters, the MMO will be keeping a close eye on its activities. Over at Chivna Airfield, Rescue 169 are standing by for their next job. They normally work within a 300-kilometre radius of their base, and the majority of their call-outs are on the North Devon coast.
Rescue 169, Falmouth Coast Guard, over.
Yep.
You are to assist the vessel Eagle Tucson in position.
But today the call is from Falmouth Coast Guard for assistance with a medical evacuation way out in the Atlantic. a seaman on board Singapore-registered oil tanker the Eagle Tucson is seriously ill.
It's a 21-year-old seaman with abdominal pains. They reckon he's probably got appendicitis.
The tanker's distress call has been picked up by other ships, but none are in range.
He's making his best speed towards the west coast of Ireland, heading east at about 14 knots.
The problem is the tanker will be out of the Sea King's 500-kilometre fuel range. Rescue 169 are going to have to take drastic action to reach the casualty.
Every pound saved in weight and stuff they don't need will convert to fuel, which will give them extra time in the air.
They're going to need it. This mission will take them right to the limits of where the Sea King can fly.
I think with the amount of kit we've taken out, we've lost about a quarter of a tonne.
I can't think of anything else. No.
If treatment for appendicitis is delayed, the appendix can burst, causing infection and even death. The seaman will need an operation. So as soon as the helicopter is stripped back, the crew take off.
Okay, head is DS 283 and it's 220 miles.
"25-year-old Taff Wilkins has successfully completed his first cliff winch as pilot, but now he's back as co-pilot for this challenging evacuation at sea.
Do you want me to do fuel burn on the way there?
We'll keep an eye on the fuel.
I'll write it down for you though.
It's his job to make absolutely certain they've got enough fuel for their long journey.
We've got 4,000 pounds of fuel.
Rescue 169. I have the latest position if you're ready to copy over. Latest position of the vessel is 51 degrees 29 minutes north.
The giant tanker the Eagle Tucson has had to change course to head to the rendezvous point 460 kilometres off the Irish coast.
Just been given a lat along of the vessel of the boat, and what we can do, we can program that into the computer, and the computer system will actually tell us to where the boat is.
We're just about to cross from UK airspace into Irish airspace.
The helicopter has got to refuel in the Irish village of Castletownbere. Winchman and paramedic Ryan Thomas, with more than 270 missions under his belt, knows every second counts.
Hope we extract a fella who's on a merchant shipping vessel with suspected appendicitis. And the ship's doctor is now we're going to get a bit worried about him because the pains have increased today.
As they approach Castletownbere, they're just halfway into their journey.
Pretty spectacular views.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
What they don't know is they're heading for a cloud of volcanic ash. The Maritime and Coast Guard Agency are responsible for the safe passage of all seafaring vessels entering British waters. Under their rules, every vessel coming into a UK port for the first time gets an automatic safety inspection. One of their toughest inspectors is Ulrich Jürgens.
I'm not here when the ship sinks. I hope at least I won't be here. You wouldn't like anybody looking through your drawers for dirty underpants, and that's what we're basically doing.
Up for inspection today is the 132-berth cruise ship Prince Albert II. The vessel specialises in expeditions to the North and South Pole. Its owners say the ship is operated to the highest standards, and the company has won numerous awards. It's docked in Portsmouth Harbour for just a short time, to take on passengers for a cruise around the Scottish Islands. Over the course of the day, Ulrich and his co-inspector Simon Few will be testing the competency of the captain and his officers, checking that the condition of the ship and its equipment meet international and maritime standards.
We have certain things which we would like to see, and we'll be asking them awkward questions and ask them to show them very many things.
The first part of the inspection is a fire drill. Simon starts by investigating the areas on board which pose a particular fire hazard.
Morning.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Very good.
Go on, come through. The galley area is a very high-risk area. Got lots of heat sources in here. There's lots of people working in here as well. So this was serviced in April 2010. It doesn't look too bad.
Simon is now going to go downstairs to the location which he has identified where we want to set off the fire. Well, at least the fire alarm, not the fire. And one of us will then be on the bridge observing how the management of the whole safety operation is carried out.
In here we got server racks, that sort of thing, which obviously is generating a lot of heat. So this would be quite a good place.
Simon's established the location where the imagined fire will start. The fire drill can now commence.
Where does the fire alarm come on? Is that the...
Yes.
Okay.
Medical team to bridge.
Medical team reporting.
The fire is going on there on inside the broadcast center, and you're preparing everything for sending simulation, of course. Okay.
When we are observing one of these drills, then we just try to get an overall impression of what they're doing. So far, I have a very positive impression here.
Attention, attention, attention. Proceed to deck 6.
Ulrich's up on deck 6 with the crew to monitor the evacuation procedures. The crewman who is temporarily in charge is having some problems.
What are you going to do then?
I'm going to report to the bridge.
How are you going to report to the bridge?
By the radio.
Do you have a radio?
Yes, I have.
He has a radio. You don't have a radio.
Yeah.
So why don't you have a radio?
As Ulrich sorts out some communication problems, Simon's facing a long wait for the launch of the life rafts.
Yeah, the life raft itself has been packed a little bit too tight. There's a possibility that they wouldn't have been able to launch that life raft. You can see the length of time it's actually taken them now. They're still working on it at the moment. In an emergency, you don't want to be dealing with something like that.
The ship's lifeboats have enough places to evacuate the passengers, but the faulty life raft is still not acceptable to the inspectors. Simon now wants to look at the outside of the ship.
That's what we're looking at just as we came on. The load mark is underwater. She's listing to port.
We have confirmed its solution, and we expect more confirmed today.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be underwater.
Prince Albert II seems to be overloaded, and Simon's concerned to find that the crew are in the process of loading on even more weight. On this issue alone, Ulrich and Simon could stop the ship from sailing. "630 kilometers away on the west coast of Ireland, Rescue 169 are about to head off into the Atlantic. The Sea King's been refueled to its maximum capacity. It's about to embark on the second leg of its journey to rescue a young crew member with appendicitis off an oil tanker in the Atlantic Ocean.
95, I'm good.
If treatment is delayed, the appendix could burst, causing infection and even death. The only people who can get to him are Rescue 169. The Eagle Tucson is sailing at full speed in their direction to make sure the casualty is airlifted to hospital as quickly as possible. But it still means a rendezvous point right at the limits of the Sea King's range.
Okay, so I just confirm it's 5129.80 north. 017.
On the side of the screen to the right, you see the extreme southwest tip of Ireland. You see our heading and our track across the screen to a waypoint with a vessel moving towards us.
They're getting regular updates on the Eagle Tucson's position from the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency's reconnaissance aircraft. Call sign 406.
Rescue 406, Rescue 406 is Rescue 169, over. We have an aircraft from the UK that comes out to provide us with a bit of safety cover, and he'll do some liaison between us and the boat. Rescue 169, go ahead.
Stated position of target vessel at 1935 Zulu 51170, speed 14, over.
But the next piece of news from Rescue 406 is not good.
We've had reports of volcanic ash west of Ireland to about, over.
Yeah, Rescue 169, roger that. Just had a call through from the Rescue 406, which is the top cover. I just warned us about the fact that there's going to be ash out to the west of Ireland.
Even for helicopters flying at low level, ash can cause a problem if it enters their engines. The RAF has cancelled their non-emergency and training flights during the ash cloud threat from the Icelandic volcano.
Though we've been given permission to operate within volcanic ash areas, we're happy to continue at the moment, but it's just something we'll monitor. And with volcanic ash, the main thing to concentrate on really is just monitoring your temperatures and pressures and seeing if it does have an effect on the engine.
This emergency flight will carry on, for the moment at least.
You can smell fuel in the air at the moment.
Now the crew are facing another problem.
We've got a slight leak of fuel coming through one of the floor seals. Fuel tanks of the aircraft split into two groups. The forward set of tanks are down beneath us where I'm kneeling now.
The fuel bags below the floor are filled to capacity because of the length of the journey. It's putting a strain on the seals and fuel is starting to seep out.
Just don't smoke, be alright.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, it's a situation they must carefully monitor.
So we'll keep an eye on it, make sure it's not serious.
They're now just 112 kilometres from the rendezvous point. A casualty update comes in from the reconnaissance plane.
Rescue 169, this is Rescue 406. The casualty is currently in pain on the right-hand side of his stomach, and he is ready for lift.
Obviously, you've got severe abdo pain. Not looking to do any medical procedures down the vessel. We haven't got time. Recover the casualty. Myself and Kaz in a double stroke back to the aircraft. Turn around, straight for home.
Okie dokie.
That's my plan.
But in the cockpit, things are not going to plan.
I'm just trying to sort this FPC out.
Pilot John Evans has just discovered a fault in the helicopter's flight path control system.
His gyro is faulty, the readings are corrupt. It is a bit of a problem.
The gyro is the part of the flight control system which assists the pilot when hovering the aircraft.
All the automatics make the aircraft easier to fly, particularly when you're working hard in a difficult situation.
So it's going to be manual high control at the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? We're going to be doing the winching in the dark. We ain't got it, so we'll have to man up and get on with it.
Rescue 169 aren't experiencing the seamless flight they'd hoped for. Back in Portsmouth, things aren't going to plan either. Marine inspectors Ulrich Jürgens and Simon Few are carrying out a routine safety inspection on board the cruise ship Prince Albert II. And they're discovering that all is not entirely shipshape.
Yes, I have.
He has a radio, you don't have a radio.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be underwater.
Every ship has lines around its hull to show the level at which it should be sitting in the water. They're designed to prevent the ship getting overloaded and, worst case, becoming unstable.
It's important because the ship calculates its stability directly from the drafts. If it's overloaded, then she's not going to be in a safe condition. So that's about roughly 425. We go to the midship mark now, please, on this side. This one's actually underwater. They appear to be slightly overloaded.
This is something they keep a close eye out for. It can be extremely dangerous to sail an overloaded ship.
She's slightly deeper at the aft end than she is at the forward end. She's up like that, slightly, which is the normal way that you'd operate the ship. The only problem at the moment is the fact that the load line marks midships are actually submerged.
Simon needs to check out the ship's stability records before he can finally decide whether Prince Albert II is in breach of safety regulations.
I'm now looking into the hours of rest of the crew members. They have to have a minimum number of hours of rest per day.
Fatigue is a big issue in the shipping industry, as it's been shown to contribute significantly to accidents.
So I have here the chief engineer. Have a look what the chief engineer did on the 20th of April.
There seems to be some discrepancies with the chief engineer's recorded hours of rest. And when Ulrich questions the captain about his hours of rest, the captain admits he doesn't keep records.
The master doesn't keep hours of rest, and the chief engineer's hours of rest have been falsified. We found a potentially rather disturbing evidence that they are not keeping records on essential timekeeping. That might indicate that serious lapse of their safety management on board, but we have to investigate a bit further.
More records appear, but Ulrich's still not convinced.
So this is now your hours of rest record? Yeah?
So the stuff.
So how come that you tell me initially that you don't keep an hours of rest record?
Actually, I'm the captain of the ship, or not? Means that
Captain, I ask you.
I have yes, please.
Could you just answer the question?
Because I don't.
Why did you tell me initially?
Because I don't have the record. I don't have the record.
You didn't know that the staff captain was keeping hours of rest?
No, I didn't know that because.
You didn't know that, and you weren't concerned about that?
The captain's hours of rest remains unclear, even with a new set of records produced. Ulrich continues to have his doubts.
You've also got another problem. At the moment, I reckon it's about 104 tonnes.
Overloaded?
Too much overloaded, yeah.
Simon's calculations confirm the ship is carrying more weight than current regulations permit.
You're over your maximum freeboard mark by 8 centimetres.
8 centimetres.
Prince Albert II has been found to be overloaded, and it appears to Ulrich that some of the crew's hours have been incorrectly documented. These two issues are serious enough for Ulrich to refer to headquarters for a decision.
No, he just said, yes, he has rest, but he's not keeping them. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's cards at that stage. On top of that, the vessel appears to be 100 tons overloaded.
There's a lot at stake. In just a few hours, passengers will be boarding, expecting to start their cruise of a lifetime.
Yeah, no, thank you. Bye.
And the captain is clearly extremely anxious not to fail this safety inspection.
The record, I understand that is a mistake, but if I can put a note, please. And we can do this again.
Unfortunately not, because there's too many. So I spoke with my office, and the situation now is as follows. We will detain the ship.
No.
We will detain you for the following reasons. We'll detain you for being overloaded at the moment. We detain you for the chief engineer having falsified his hours of rest records. And the master also was not aware of the fact that there were hours of rest records kept for him. But the detention grounds at this stage are hours of rest and load line, violation of the load line convention.
The ship will not be permitted to sail until they have made good these failings. But Ulrich offers them a lifeline.
My recommendation is that you immediately call your company to send a surveyor here, then and you show us in the evening at whatever time then we would let you go.
But it's not going to be easy. It's already 2 p.m. and the ship is set to sail this evening. She'll be detained until they have made good the two most serious failures on board.
We are not here to stop ships from making business, companies from earning money. We're just here to make sure that the people on board of the ships are safe, and sometimes those issues clash.
With passengers due to board Prince Albert II shortly, the captain and crew have got just under 6 hours to turn things around if they're going to meet their 8 p.m. sailing time. The crew of RAF 169 are on a mission right to the limits of their fuel range.
We'll keep an eye on the
I'll write it down, yeah, I'll write it down.
A 21-year-old seaman has been suffering from appendicitis for 4 days. Hospital treatment can't be delayed without risking a burst appendix, which could be deadly. Stranded in the Atlantic, he's got to be taken to hospital by the RAF search and rescue helicopter for an emergency operation.
You just see the target, the boat's in at 12 o'clock, you just make out the horizon, the two lights, and that's the vessel.
Rescue helicopter, Eagle Tucson. And stand by for any heading change, we'll let you know shortly.
Almost 5 hours after they left their base, Rescue 169 are finally alongside the gigantic oil tanker, the Eagle Tucson. The Sea King is too large to land safely on the tanker, so the casualty will have to be airlifted off. As the tanker sails, it generates turbulence which pilot John must negotiate. And he's hovering without the visual reference points he'd rely on in daylight. Radar and winch operator Duncan Woody Woodward scopes out the geography of the tanker, searching for anything which may be a hazard to the helicopter.
Mess on the right hand side, rotor and pipe work, windsock forward of where we're winching, floating the flashing red handset on the ground now.
Yeah.
If we go forward where the kink and the yellow path mark is.
Yeah.
Take that as a winching area.
Okay, happy with your hazards then. Height, probably not a great deal lower than this. I should still retain this a bit of flyaway.
Especially the white crane in the 4 o'clock will be well clear of the tail. Steady, quite good.
He's being lowered 30 metres to get to the deck below.
Steady, quite good, southwest.
Where the seriously ill seaman is waiting to be airlifted.
Ryan's on the deck. Move left.
Hovering increases the helicopter's fuel burn. To save fuel, Ryan must get the casualty back into the Sea King before he starts emergency treatment on the journey back.
Nice, good. Steady. Carefully. That's clear.
For the casualty, Jafar Saeed Imran, being lifted by harness is the quickest way back to the helicopter, but it's a painful experience. After almost 4 days on the Eagle Tucson with only antibiotics to treat his symptoms, the young seaman is in great pain. They're heading for Shannon Hospital in County Clare, where the staff will be prepared to carry out an emergency appendectomy. Ryan radios ahead to give them the casualty's condition.
Had a good look at his observations and everything else. He's got a fair bit of tenderness in his abdominal area for his appendix. He's got all the classic signs of appendicitis that I would diagnose.
The casualty's been stabilised, but it's another 2.5 hours before they'll reach Shannon Airport.
Roger.
As the helicopter touches down, an ambulance team are standing by to rush him to hospital. For the crew of 169, it's a relief to be back on the ground and off duty for the rest of the night.
It's been a lot of flying, with a fair way out. It's been a tiring long day, but pleasing. You know, it made a difference today. This is where the old black and white is meant to be specially brewed, so I think I can just about manage one for hitting the hay. I'm looking forward to it. Brave enough to go coasting when you're braver than me.
Sian Davies, the 16-year-old injured when she jumped into the sea on an adventure day out, suffered whiplash and bruised muscles, but no lasting spinal injuries. She intends to carry on taking part in adventure sports. The French trawler captain, who was issued with a caution for seriously under-recording his catch, could face prosecution and a fine of up to £50,000 if he commits further logbook offences in UK waters. The managers and owners of Prince Albert II said that the safety of passengers and crew will always be treated as an absolute priority. The detention of the ship was not a matter taken in any way lightly, and immediate investigations were carried out and remedial action undertaken. They said the master and other senior officers' rest hours were above the minimum, but that these had been under-recorded. Having taken on fuel in Portsmouth, the owners said it became necessary to then transfer some of her ballast and wastewaters to correct the overloading. As a result, Prince Albert II finally sailed 4 hours later than planned. The owners have reviewed their internal inspection regime and processes to ensure there are no similar problems in the future. Next time, it's red alert for the RNLI in a dramatic nighttime channel rescue.
Look, there's an arc. Lee, we need to get him off. I know we do. Urgently.
A desperate bid to save a 5-year-old boy and his father cut off by the tide.
Can you come over here and grab in this? Do you want to get into there?
And a day out at the beach ends in disaster.
And he's complaining of neck pain. What I don't want to do is put him in a wheelchair.